So this week has been an absolutely crazy week with that failed Trump assassination attempt, King Charles and Queen Camilla coming to the United States, as well as many other random events that I think Trump is doing intentionally to signal to us updates to removing and freeing us from this deep state, this cabal. And now we are at a major turning point. So let's talk about it and go into some analysis. Now, you may have heard about that assassination attempt at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and there's a lot of information coming out about it, and I'm not going to go into a lot of the detail, but it's out there. And it's odd the timing of all of this because King Charles was coming literally in the next day. And although there might be some deeper kind of tie to that in terms of the British monarch's desire or hidden hand to try to have some last-ditch effort to thwart this whole thing, to counter Trump and his whole policies that are basically an existential threat to the British Empire. Or you could look at this as being some assassination attempt by radicalized leftists that have influenced this poor individual, and this person actually acted alone. But either way, as Trump says, this is not going to deter him and that he wants to continue pushing on. He says, if you want to do a great job, take a look at what's happened to some of the greatest presidents. It doesn't happen to people that don't do anything. Now, Stormborn decoded something that Dan Scavino posted and said that comms suggest that the WHCD shooter was a false flag and was used to distract from and delay current events. And some of the language from the Q post is advanced knowledge, panic button pushed, more evidence of foreknowledge, false flags, expect fireworks, the attack was thwarted, precursor, they are buying time, national security issue, POTUS. And one of the main things about his post is that it was posted at 10:15 p.m. and that corresponds to panic in UK, panic in DC, panic in UK, panic in DC. And I want to read to you this Q post where a Anon asked a question to Q, and this is what his answer was. First, let me read what he actually asked. He said, I'm British and have been on the Trump train for about a year and a half. Like most people, when I first heard Donald Trump was running for president, I was very skeptical, and then something magical happened. I watched one of his rallies and I saw the look in his eye, the words in his tongue. He spoke about draining the swamp and didn't care for politically correct nonsense that is killing society. He bellowed words of America first, and it was glorious. The moment that 100% solidified in my mind that DJT was legit was at the New York dinner where he and Hillary had to make a speech in front of the elite. I remember Mr. Trump insulting them to their face. The look on their faces was something I will never forget. And I want to skip down a little bit, but he asked this question. On a side note, any chance after USA has been uncorrupted, can you maybe sort out the UK? We are hurting bigly. And this is what Q says. He says May is neutralized. And I believe it's referring to Prime Minister Theresa May at that time. And then MI6, SIS undergoing house cleaning. Queen/monarchs seeking shelter. Patience. These people are stupid. And remember, the Queen King passed away in 2021, 2022. And then King Charles, Queen Camilla came to the throne. So there's something significant there that's happening. House cleaning. And what's very interesting is that President Trump recently has been talking about the reflecting pool at the Lincoln Memorial and has renovated it. And if you know that reflecting pool, it's basically just all water. And of course, it's dirty water. But this is what Ultra Magadine had to say about this in his commentary. We were always told to watch the water. And of course, there's several posts about that, 765, watch the water, and 847. And there's 3 sets of photos here. And in this first set, he is showing us he has drained and cleaned it out, the swamp, and is now putting a fresh coat of paint on it. And in this next picture, he's telling us a clean swamp is coming soon, aka a clean house with safe and secure elections. And then in this final set, he's showing us a dirty swamp of Obama versus what the clean swamp will look like with him as president. In short, by watching the water, President Trump is telling us the swamp has been drained and is being cleaned out of all the dirty deep state actors in Obama's administration, and a cleaner and newer Washington is coming soon under President Trump. And what's interesting is that there's an April 27th Delta where it says drain the swamp. That was literally the other day. And in that post, 3326, truth, transparency, and equal justice under the law. Drain the swamp. United we stand. We the people. And as President Trump made a speech, as well as King Charles, there are some very interesting things that they have said. Caroline Levitt posted this post from Rapid Response 47 of an excerpt of his speech. So watch what he says here.
But beneath those beautiful flags 8 decades ago, Prime Minister Winston Churchill and President Franklin Roosevelt famously met on a ship in the North Atlantic to outline a vision for the free world after World War II. That understanding of our nation's unique bond and role in history is the essence of our special relationship, and we hope it will always remain that way.
Listen to what he says there. He's saying outlining a vision for the free world, but he mentioned after World War II. But in this instance, with everything going on and this historic moment of King Charles coming here, is there more to it in the sense of freedom and what the United States is doing? And many people have pointed out that King Charles was walking behind President Trump. Does that mean he's capitulating? This also happened during when Trump visited the Queen. Look at them walking together. So again, I don't know, a lot of people talking about some of the stuff and what it means symbolically, but clues, symbols, and symbolic meaning is a big thing. And of course, King Charles addresses Congress. And so I want to show you some excerpts of what he said that caught my eye. Now, most of this speech is very just ordinary and in some sense expected with regards to high level, like typical, like polite gestures and professionalism with regards to the two nations getting together.
The founding fathers were bold and imaginative rebels with a cause. 250 years ago, or as we say in the United Kingdom, just the other day, they declared independence. By balancing contending forces and drawing strength in diversity, they united 13 disparate colonies to forge a nation on the revolutionary idea of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Now, although he's talking about 1776, 250 years ago, and then, of course, the 13 colonies, he says something interesting. He says, just the other day. And, of course, you can take it as a joke because of the United Kingdom and some of their laughter as per, UK culture and things like that. But he says it very particularly. He says, just the other day, as if the United States or the UK has been freed from something. And of course, you can look at that as being the 1776, the United States Corporation, and that being freed. You could look at it from the deep state stronghold that has a grip hold on the monarchy and the other QPOs I mentioned and talked about. Or you could look at it as being a stretch, but that's just very interesting that he mentioned that. And here's some other clips of things that he talks about with regards to something new happening right now.
We must not disregard everything that has sustained us for the last 80 years. Instead, we must build on it. Renewal today starts with security. The United Kingdom recognizes that the threats we face demand a transformation in British defense. That is why our country, in order to be fit for the future, has committed to the biggest...
Of course, he talks about defense and all that, but he says the word renewal there. And lastly, in his very closing sentence, listen to what he says here.
And so to the United States of America, on your 250th birthday, let our two countries rededicate ourselves to each other in the selfless service of our peoples and of all the peoples of the world. God bless the United States and God bless the United Kingdom.
And again, he says there rededicate, meaning that was there something else that happened prior to this that didn't require it being rededicated? Again, just a stretch, possibly, but just some interesting notes here because he talked a lot about very particular and very detailed things. He talked about Article 5 of the NATO treaty. He talked about the U.S. Constitution. He talked about 1776. All of these things historically, yes, it could be just a reminder of historical things, but it's very interesting he talks about some of these things and that he's here for the very first time. Acting as king, of course. He mentioned, I think he was here like 20 times. But very, very interesting. Now, of course, does that mean that we are freed yet? I don't think so. I think we are still in process of all of that. I think Trump is reminding us through back channels, through comms like this, that it is in progress. But there's also a real battle, a real sick evil that's happening with regards to even that assassination attempts. We got to still pray. We got to make sure that the Lord and God's sovereignty is over all of what's happening right now. So just want to give you guys this quick update. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And you guys know I'm a small channel right now. I would love it if you guys can support me, whether by subscribing or liking, viewing my content, or directly by prayer or financially. It is the end of April, and I'm really trying to meet our financial goals for this month so that you guys can support me and my team. You guys know I am listener supported, so I need all the help that I can get. So if you guys want to partner with me, I have a website down below, givesendgo.com/chrisyoonyt in the description. I also have PayPal, Zelle, Venmo. So love you guys. More to come. Talk to you guys very soon.